Hello and welcome to Building a Better Britain. One of the projects that I was fortunate enough to work on during my time as a senior advisor to government was the Thorpe Park project in Leeds, which was ultimately a 350-acre site of farmland that was sat on the outskirts of Leeds along the M1. It was a site that wasn't particularly generating any meaningful economic value. But it was strategically well located in terms of its proximity to Leeds, its proximity to the major arterial routes, both north and southbound. And when you look at the country from a helicopter perspective, it's as central as you can really be. You can hit Manchester, London, Sheffield, the northeast, the ports, both sides, the likes of Humber and the northwest as well. So the site really was of immense strategic value, not just to Leeds and the surrounding areas, but from a national point of view as well. The vision ultimately was to become the largest and most impactful out-of-town business park, certainly within Yorkshire, but it then went on to become one of the most significant nationally. And I had the pleasure of working with Scarborough Group, who at the time, and actually still do own it, but at the time were the developers. And they had this very clear vision on what they wanted to do, creating jobs, attracting businesses, and having this sort of Leeds lifestyle without having the costs necessarily being a city centre based business or resident. So ultimately, there was a really compelling opportunity and vision to be delivered here. We fast forward to sort of 7 or 8 years further ahead and to sort of where we are now, and there's something like 17,500 jobs based just on that site with well over 100 businesses. There's 800 new homes, there's all manner of amazing things, some fabulous retail opportunities as well, with some serious anchor tenants occupying that space. But how did that opportunity get off the ground and how did it work? Well, the first thing was the developer, in this case Scarborough Group, having a vision. They had a very compelling vision which fit in nationally with what the government wanted to do. They were an organisation that weren't afraid to take a risk, which they very much needed to do with an opportunity like this. And they brought, or we were able to, as a advisory team, bring Legal and General together, who were one of the largest and still are one of the largest pension funds in the UK, and that was about £162 million worth of funding at the time. It was a joint venture and it enabled the phase to be accelerated somewhat and to get some serious momentum. Because at that time we had some very big anchor tenants that wanted to be in a relatively quick space, relatively quick sort of time frame. So we needed to get going very quickly. The partnership also involved GMI Group as well, who are one of Yorkshire's biggest construction firms, local to the area as well. And they were the delivery partner who delivered the circa 1.5 million square feet virtually in its entirety. The key sort of link for all this as well was the infrastructure. So sort of finding well building something as big as what Thorpe Park was. But that led to the need to obviously move traffic from the M1 to the site, from the site to Leeds. So that's where the East Leeds Orbital Road was also a major factor, and that was built as well. The next and sort of final phase of the infrastructure piece is to finalise and deliver the railway link, which is going to be less than 7 or 8 minutes into Leeds city centre. So you can move at mass and at speed significant numbers of people from the city and surrounding areas to the site, which was really important. When dealing with this, one of the key factors in the development process was to ensure that the sustainability of the site was quite crucial. So there's a lot of open spaces, there's a lot of green spaces there as well. There's a 113-acre public realm, so a park ultimately for people to enjoy as well. It's not very condensed, it's over a much wider area than you typically find in a city centre. Rents are cheaper than you'd find in a city centre. You therefore got significant businesses that are occupying long-term leases as well, which is a great exit for developers. And in terms of longevity, we've seen other out-of-town retail parks, not quite as big as Thorpe Park, but emerging in places in the northeast, the northwest, across Lincolnshire, Yorkshire and other places as well, because what Thorpe Park has ultimately become is a blueprint for what can be done really, really well. So you've got a mix of SME businesses, you've got a mix of national-based businesses, you've got commercial offerings in terms of retail and leisure as well. You've got restaurants, you've got all, everything you can possibly want in one place, with some excellent quality residential houses as well. So whilst that wasn't the largest or most expensive scheme we worked on at the time, it was one of the most compelling because of what it was able to do. Attract over 100 businesses to that area, creating nearly 20,000 new jobs. All of these things are significant for adding economic value and the gross value add, not necessarily the development value itself, but the gross value add in terms of the spending people are doing in the area, the wages people are earning in the area, the business rates that are being generated from it, and all of that wider value is compounded, so much that it's really been a significant success story. And for me, more towns and cities in the UK need to consider that, especially with the demise of the high streets, and city and town centres are starting to look more empty with vacancies high and rents low. So what we now need to do is look at how we can future-proof businesses, retail and leisure in a slightly different way as well. Thank you.